Before we start this episode, I want you to stop the video, go look yourself in the mirror, and tell yourself, I love you. And once you do that, come back to the video and let's get into it. Welcome to the Chasing Genius podcast. My name is Crystal and I am your host for the number one show for creatives in pursuit of their own creative geniuses. We are in the hot seat. We in the philosophical chair today. Love is everything this world has to offer. You know, we do everything because we either love it or we don't love it. We search for love. We try to find love. We try to be an embodiment of love. And with Valentine's Day being right around the corner, I thought this would be, a good topic to kind of just ponder on and to think and to kind of see where I'm at with it. I feel like I've been like, what is love? When you really deep it, it's like love is everything. But when we think about love, it's usually in the embodiment of somebody else. It's something that we chase. We're trying to find love, or we're searching for love, or we're chasing love. And when we say we're doing all these things because of love, it's usually in things that are like outside of ourselves, be it like something we're passionate about, be it a person, be it an activity, like, oh, I love sports, or oh, I love this person, or I love this job. The act of loving something is always something outside of loving ourselves. And a lot of the times we don't really say I love you to ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to open the show up with that, because we oftentimes forget that the most important entity or being that we should love first and foremost is ourselves. And I was having a conversation with a homie the other day, of course, because Valentine's Day is around the corner, and the topic of love and this idea of love came up. And he said something that was really, really profound to me, and it was that love is not a destination. Love is a space that you cultivate within yourself. And it got me thinking that, it is true. I think most of us see love as a destination, as something to aspire to, or a finish line, or whatever, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. It's like, I'm trying to find love. I want to find love in this person. I'm searching for love. And if you take a step back, you realize that love has to start with yourself. I mean, even in my first basic understanding of love would start probably with the Bible, where there's a commandment that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And that in and of itself kind of shows that love starts with you. Love is cultivated within you. And in being able to love yourself, you are able to then love your neighbor. Because there's no way for you to love your neighbor if you have not yet loved yourself. And a lot of times when, in our modern form of dating, we have dating apps, we have social media because you can DM, so that's also a dating app, or shooting your shot in person, or whatever your strategy of meeting and talking to people you're interested in. A lot of times we kind of forget about ourselves. And we put all this potential or this ability for this other person to love us in return, but we haven't actually completed the first step, which is to love ourselves. So how can we expect someone else to love us if we haven't yet loved ourselves? But then it's like, what does it actually mean to love ourselves? And I think when we think of a child is probably the purest form of everything, the purest form of joy, the purest form of excitement, the purest form of sadness, the purest form of love. because everything that they experience is in the moment. Like you could, see a kid crying and like 5 seconds later they're laughing and they're having fun. They already forgot about the thing that made them sad. And it's only as we get older that we start to like hold on to things, and either it be like a grudge or something that hurt us. I mean, there's a lot of times like now we're talking about like unlearning, the trauma that we've experienced in our past and stuff like that. Because as we've gotten older, we've learned to hold on to things, and be it negative or positive, we hold on to experiences, and that shapes our worldview. And that's the same thing with love. Whether you received it a lot as a kid, or whether you didn't receive it a lot, or whether your idea of love has evolved into it being held by a person, thing, or belief, or lack thereof. And I think being able to get back to that childlike nature of like not holding on to things and just experiencing it as it is. But oftentimes I think in our current, day and age, it's like we put a lot of love into someone else. I love this person because they're this, or I love this person because they bring out the best in me, without realizing that that person is really a mirror for us. If you are able to cultivate that love within yourself, and then you have someone else coming in who's also like in a space of like truly loving themselves, they're able to kind of cultivate a space together that is filled with so much love. And it's not necessarily that you're always going to be happy, or that everything's going to feel like this ethereal burst of energy at all times, but I think it's more of like there's an understanding, there's a unity, there's like this bond that brings you guys together, that then makes you feel like love. To love someone is an extension of yourself. And it's not you going outside yourself to love this person or to make yourself love this person, but it is you showing up how you would show up for yourself. And I feel like, again, with like the dating apps and the modern world, I think we've misconstrued this idea of love. And instead of us cultivating it within ourselves, we search for it in other people, in other things. And then we get disappointed when they're not able to hold space for us, when they're not able to love us in the ways that we need to be loved, not because we didn't tell them, but because they don't have the capacity to love you, because they have not yet loved themselves. And when we approach love in this like insecure, in this like space where we're like, we kind of gamified love, we gamified dating. If you can't do it, I'm gonna go find someone else, because there's a pool of people that we could connect with, we could reach to, we could talk to, etc., etc. But the problem is that we've already placed our own preconceived notion on who this person is based on what their profile says. And if anything is on the internet and anything is a profile, and we are able to cultivate this idea of ourselves, then we're then perceiving them in a lens that they want to be perceived, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we know them. We could get someone's general vibe off of their profile, right? And what they're generally into, but unless we talk to them, we won't actually genuinely know who they are. Unless we sit with them, unless we spend time with them, we won't actually get a feel of their energy and where they're at in life. And because we are able to perceive people, we then put this like false potential on people, like I've heard of loving the idea of someone and not necessarily loving them, because you thought they were gonna be this way and then they ended up being that way. And then it's like, well, then who did I fall in love with? You fell in love with who you wanted them to be and not who they actually are. And I think oftentimes we kind of like look for other people to fill gaps within ourselves. We want someone who's patient, someone who's kind, someone who's honest, but we aren't patient with ourselves. We aren't honest with ourselves. We don't communicate with ourselves in a way that is true and honest, right? So it's like we're searching for all the things that we are not in hopes that this person will fill the gaps for us, when in reality, both of you guys end up just mirroring each other, you know? Like, this person texts back a little late, so now I'm gonna, wait a couple hours before I text them back. And then now both of y'all are mirroring the actions of each other because both of you don't want to get played. And I think approaching love in this way of like, I'm gonna be guarded and hold myself back because I don't want you to hurt me, is then giving more power to that other person, saying that they have the ability to hurt you. But the truth is, no one could do anything to you without your permission. Like, if you are not going to get disrespected, then you don't have to continue the communication or the connection with that person, right? It's up to you to decide, I don't really like how this person is kind of acting. I don't think our values are in the same place. I don't even think we're compatible. So instead of just drawing it out until one person hurts the other, we're just gonna, nip it in the bud now. So I think, like, generally, again, I'm not giving relationship advice, but I think finding love is more about finding yourself than about finding the right person. Because the right person will only bring you deeper to who you are. The other person is mirroring the love we have for ourselves. Because the truest form of love starts within. You are love. We are all the purest form of love. And yes, some of us might not be in relationships this Valentine season. I've been single for 3 years. And one of the biggest things that I've learned over these last couple of years is that love starts within. It's about how I feel about myself. It's about how I treat myself. It's about doing things because I love myself, whether it be going to the gym, whether it's reading, whether it's creating content, whether it's doing the stuff like learning guitar and doing things that bring out that childlike nature in me, while also developing my own emotional intelligence and empathy and compassion to be able to hold space for somebody. Because at the end of the day, we're not trying to find someone who completes us. We want to find someone who's equally as whole, who can hold space for us and we can hold space for them. And it's not just trying to chase this fairy tale of what love is, but in understanding that we are humans having a spiritual experience, and in doing so, we are connecting our energies and our souls together, because love is more than just the physical manifestation of what it looks like. It isn't just vacations and couples. It's what happens outside of that. It's what happens outside the recap reels and the videos and the things that people post because they love somebody. But it's about what happens when it's just them, when they're together. Are they helping each other grow? Are they nurturing the purest form of love in each other? Are they cultivating a space that is welcoming, that is warm, that is honest, that is able to hold a healthy communication, And yeah, that's really it for me. I feel like with Valentine's Day, it brings up this idea of like, what is love? And struggling with modern dating or lack thereof, or like putting yourself out there, I think it all starts with you, to be very honest. Like, you are only going to meet someone as deeply as you have met yourself, point blank. And you, in search of love, you still have to remember that you have boundaries. You have to respect yourself, hold a space for honest communication, because at the end of the day, no relationship lasts without communication, and we're in this age where people be ghosting people, which is crazy to me, because why are you ghosting? Just say like, you don't have the capacity for this, or you're not emotionally available for this thing. And that's the other thing too, like, people keep throwing around being emotionally unavailable, or not being emotionally unavailable for someone else means that you are not emotionally available for yourself. it means that you aren't even holding space for yourself to show emotions, to show that you care, to show the side of you that you feel like society's telling you to hide. Being emotionally unavailable for someone else, it really just means you haven't held the space for yourself just yet. Because only people who are able to hold space for themselves by themselves and are able to communicate that, or are able to hold space for somebody else. And it's not saying you got to solve all their problems and you got to be everything to that person, but it's that, I see you. Love is being able to say, like, I see you, I hear you. I may not have the solutions to all your problems, but I'm able to hold space for you where you can feel and be yourself 100%. You can let your hair down. You can be your true self in its purest form. And doing it because it will bring you closer to being happy or to that joy, or, it's about feeling safe. At the end of the day, you can only love another person if you've loved yourself. And remember that love is not a destination. Love is the space that you are able to cultivate within yourself, because you are love. I hope everyone has an incredible Valentine's Day. If you have a date, enjoy that date. If you're taking yourself on a solo date, enjoy that solo date. And if you're just chilling, enjoying the day, taking it for what it is, I hope that you are able to show yourself that you love yourself and you're able to nurture that love within. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so grateful that you're here, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.